better than before. Through those open doors, where I am now. Where I am now, I'm in a special place. I'm in a walking place. Where I am now. It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, where I am now. And if you'd like to see us live in WGPL 1350 studio, WMVA 88.9 FM studio, all you have to do is go to Edward Everett's Facebook page, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton's Facebook page, and guess what? You can see us live right here in the studio. And if you want to hear us all over the world, all you have to do is go to 1350 AM, 1400 AM. Click on to Church Webcast, and guess what? You can hear us all over the world. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning. Mr. E, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Would you, could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors. Let's welcome WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace, 95.3 FM, WPCE 1400 AM, WMVA 88.9 FM. Good morning to you.
Facebook Live is on and popping. Let's also welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we promise on today we'll shout you out.
You promise?
Promise. Go over to our Crystal Records 1. That's at YouTube, CRISTO Records 1. And then you can also go to @FYI Radio Show host Yolanda Hinton. That's on YouTube as well. Make sure you like, share, comment. We need you to subscribe, and we promise we will shout you out. Whoo, Missy.
Yeah.
What day is it today?
Today. Hump day.
Mr. E, I don't know. That was pretty good. I wanted a good old sanctified hump day. You got a good old. Come on.
Today.
What day is it today?
Today. Hump day.
And hallelujah to that. That was great.
Look,
it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Middle of the week. You all should be up and popping. I tell you what, I am Mr. E. I love the middle of the week. It gets us closer and closer to the weekend, which I love. So much going on. But this is FYI Wednesday segment. What's under the hat? Issues concerning you men.
Why you always want to know about what's going on with men?
Nosy.
That's the problem. That's what's going on with a lot. They are so nosy.
We know everything about you all, whether you know it or not. We know how you act, think. You know, we just know you all as men. But I tell you what, your issues, that's something you all need to tell us a little bit more about, because you all have plenty of them.
Well, we are not the only one to have issues. You folks
all have plenty. But we're not talking about us. We're talking about y'all on today.
I can't wait till Friday.
Concerning men. Mr. E, our segment, how fathers discipline their children in this generation.
That's right. You know, Miss Hinton, when you talk about discipline your children, you got to go back to the days of old when fathers used to go out there and work. and come home and be the disciplinarian.
Really?
That's right. Sometimes mama will say, wait till your daddy get home because he gonna tear you up.
Wait till your daddy get home. I don't know if this day and time we're gonna wait till daddy get home to carry on. But anyway, we're gonna talk about discipline and what it looks like in 2025. You know, I asked the question, I always ask the question, I ask the guys what discipline looks like, and you'd be surprised it has changed. You know, we go back, Mr. E, and rewind. Now, my dad probably wasn't he was a disciplinarian, but he handled my sisters, my oldest sisters, the two oldest ones, they got knocked in the head more than anybody else. And it was always behind my baby sister. She fell off the bed or something like that. Here he comes. But I don't remember ever getting a spanking or anything from him at all.
Miss Hinton, my dad was totally different than that. My dad grew up on the old school way, tear you
Tell
up.
us a little bit about it.
Well, when my dad disciplined, he beat you for old and new.
Mm-mm.
And then he had the audacity to say to you, this gonna hurt him more than it's gonna hurt
they
you.
used to use that on us. That's psychology. It didn't hurt them at all.
This gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you. And I'm saying, how did he come to that conclusion that it's gonna hurt him more than it's gonna hurt me, and I'm on the receiving end of this whipping?
Well, what did whippings look like to you all? Was it just a belt, a switch? Was it a hand pop, a smack in the face? What did it look like?
Well, back in the days of old, when I was coming, it was a switch, it was the spatula, bolo bat, frying pan, mop handle, flip flop shoes, you name it, we got it. Anything. Spatula. You ever got a whipping with a spatula that you flip pancakes over with?
No.
Spatula. As we got a little older, my dad used a little mop handle. My grandfather was a barber, so he used a razor strap.
Well, what made them disciplined like that? What do you think? Where did that come from?
Well, because they was being whipped back in the days of old when they was coming up. So every time they did wrong, they figured that the only way to discipline, and because they had to endure, is to whip you.
Did they take the scripture too far?
Span the rod.
You span the rod. Of course, you got to do a little something.
Now
something.
It is.
But I'm saying, was it too close to that abusive zone? Meaning, what are you throwing irons and what do you say throwing
stitching cords and all that stuff?
That's a little bit too much, if you ask me.
Well, we would call that child abuse today. But
Absolutely.
Back then and there, that was discipline.
Well, listen to this. Consider the origins of the word discipline. It comes from the word disciple, which of course is a person who receives instruction from another person. Dads who have what I call punishment mentality. They don't teach their children to make positive changes in their behavior. Sometimes, instead of that, they use shame, intimidation to influence their kids to behave differently. Discipline sometimes is something that some parents don't really know how to do or implement, or they don't know strategies and tips. But today we're going to talk about some tips, and then we are going to look at what it looks like in 2025. Mr. E, I know you have your opinion. 2025, as you see the generation after us, what do you think they do differently than our moms?
Well, I think that they don't get discipline. I think they don't get. I don't think they don't get pops. I don't think that they get pops. Get whippings. I think they just do what they want. It's their way.
Sure?
I'm positive because they don't get nothing taken away unless you have. Some parents don't have control over their children, and some do have control. Well, those who have control over their children, just bringing them up in the right way, can tell them, "I'm going to take this, take that." Back in the days of old, when our parents they would not take the TV out of the room. They would not take their Game Boy out of the room and dare you to mess with it.
Well, that's true. Things were different then, but now, you have a different type of generation. You have a generation now that can speak up and give their opinions They are hanging in the room with mama and grandma and aunties and uncles and friends. They hear adult conversation. They get a chance to talk just like the adults do. And so for that reason, sometimes they can get away with saying certain things because they
In
used to
that
being
conversation,
around in
yeah,
that
yeah,
environment where everybody speaks their mind. Do
that's
you
right,
think children are out of their place? Remember that cliche: a child should stay in a child's
that's right.
place. Now, if you look at the generation now, Mr. E, you see they are a little bit more outspoken and they give their opinion. Is that wrong?
Well, I mean, it depends on the parents. It is wrong to me. To
Right.
me, it is wrong
Hmm.
because I believe that a child should never be an adult conversation. I believe that adults should have their own conversation, and a child should never be opinionated in an adult conversation unless he is an adult, unless he done grown up and can sit down and share his value. But these little teeny children that's sitting around here now, 6 and 7 years old, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, that are in adult conversation, no.
Well, maybe it's the adults that should be handling their business. If the child is in the conversation, well, maybe it's a conversation, an everyday conversation, or but if they're in the conversation and it's something that should not be spoke among children, I can see you separating that child
Right.
from the group. If it's an everyday conversation, I think it's okay. I remember my mother and them, they made sure that we didn't hear or didn't engage in conversation with adults.
That's right.
But then again, you forget that children have sense and they have sense enough to have an opinion.
Well, see, where do you draw the line at? Do you sit there and ask Johnny, or do you allow him to sit there and take on grown folk conversations when it's not his turn? Do he supposed to have? And how old do you think, Miss Hinton, that a child could sit in the same company of adults and chat just like he's an adult?
Whew, Mr. E. Okay. I'm thinking, I'm just thinking about conversations that adults have around children. First of all, adults should be the ones looked at a little closer, Mr. E, because you'd be surprised all the things they say
That's right.
around
That's right.
children. They probably only will excuse a child, some parents, if it's something that's going to make them look bad. I've seen that so many times. If it makes them look bad, or if it's something that is a secret or something like that, they may excuse a child. Other than that, a lot of parents let the children stay around. They let them hear everything and anything. Learning to me being around children and teaching children and things like that, you'd be surprised what they say about parents and parties and
Right.
conversation. They let them engage in every and anything. So I think sometimes you're going to have to look a little bit more at parents and how they engage with children, and kind of put the blame on them, if you
You
ask
know,
me.
some of this the conversation said effective discipline. Effective
Mhm.
discipline for children focus on teaching and guiding rather than punishment. Instead of focuses on physical or harsh verbal discipline, which can have negative long-term, effective parents can use positive discipline techniques like setting clear expectation, using logical consequence, and model desire the conversation.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if someone wants to respond, Mr. E.
Let's
But
go to the phone line.
as you do that, I'll continue talking. Let's find out if there is someone that want to chime in.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing wonderful.
Yeah, I'm doing fine too. I know what I would call it too, because I was trying to understand, is it okay? Because we have a lot of single parents, and this time in exposure when we came up, I'm a 50 child, and a lot of things, because I worked a lot, I'm retired and all, but my kids were some like home alone by themselves alone. And the really that we needed, they went there. But anyhow, I left a lot of word with my kids. And it helped them to me
because now they're like in their 40s and 50s. But I say already say this: the generation have changed, so we got to include each other because times are moving so fast.
Yeah.
And when mother and daddy was in the house, then it was kind of different. But now with these single parents in the house, you got to leave a lot of messages to these kids so they can understand where they are. Because they don't want to be left behind in reality, not knowing that. And now it's going to be parents from back to knowledge. But anyhow, I just wanted to share that. I was just wondering about that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And that's true. Children, I feel, and I felt then too, when I was being raised, that children should be included in certain things, certain conversations, and have not an opinion to make a choice for adults, but at least you can hear the voice of a child. Sometimes you'd be surprised what children will say that will kind of like, that's clever, or I never thought of it like that. But yes, the caller said the generations have changed, and they need more knowledge. They need to know more what's going on. But how we teach them as far as discipline, how we disciple them, and how we, choose to punish children, that's something that should be a conversation for all of us.
When we think about children, she said something that was so pertinent. If they are home alone children, she said, give them enough word in them where they can be able to stand. Give them some information. But if you got two parents in the house, and the two parents in the house ought to be able to instill in their children the directions and the discipline or on which way to go. Now, when you got a parent in there and they are not telling Johnny what's right, what's wrong, they'll just only let everything go. Everything is go, go, go. See, there's positive discipline techniques that folks should really try to use. As one of it, setting clear expectations. And she said something that was so clear. Give them some information, give them word. Setting clear explanations. Said, Johnny, listen, when you come home from school, I'm trusting you. I'm a single mama or single daddy. And when you come home, you don't hang out in front of the house. Come in the house, get your homework done. I have already left your sandwiches and you got food to eat. Clean your room up, do what you got to do. And that's setting positive discipline. Don't do nothing that will cause attention to my house.
Discipline starts early. No, don't do that. No, that will hurt you. No, come back here. No, you can't try that. Yes, that's the right way to do it. If you do that, these are the consequences. These things start when you're young. Don't wait till you got a child 20 years old. You trying to tell them what to do. They're not going to listen to what you have to do.
I'm not going to raise my child like my parents raised me. My dad was too much. This is what some people are saying is that my dad was so hard on me. I'm not going to do Johnny like that. But see, you got to remember when we're dealing with our young children, the jailhouses are being filled. When your child get to the third grade, they're making decisions right now on how many jails to build.
Absolutely.
So we got to instill in our children, whether you're single or not, you got to have a clear message or a way to discipline, to make the word stick into the child's mind.
I wanted to make a point of what you were saying about in the past compared to now, what was done in the past, which some would be coined as child abuse. In this day and time, the courts will definitely get involved if there is even an inkling or something going on that looks like child abuse, punishment. When a child is punished and they come to school and then the teacher sees a bruise, the parent might have grabbed the child, something might happen, but you can be sure that there are times when you're going to get in trouble for some of the things that you think are normal or you saw your parents or grandma do. In this day and time, the courts will get in it and you'll end up somewhere where you don't want to be. You've got to, keep in mind about what discipline is, when discipline starts, which we said is early, and you have to teach a child as they go. Some people do not believe in physical punishment.
Right.
I have somebody in my family that said, won't be hitting, smacking, kicking, all that head bopping and all that. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. But instruction, I noticed that person instructs that child, loves that child, allows that child to experience the natural logical consequences of his action. And then he models. He wants that child to model him, because he's gonna hopefully do all the right things.
That's right. He wants them to be a model. You got to be a role model if you expect your children to follow behind you. You got to show them, teach them how. The scripture is right. Train up a child in the way they should go. When they get old, they never depart from that. You teach them how to read, how to be disciplined, what their mannerism is. I used to be to the point where I've been with rebellions. My dad and mom,
Mr. E.
Oh yeah, they said don't let the street lights come on.
Uh-huh.
And I'm out there having such a good time, smelling myself, and the street light come home. Now I'm trying to get home. I'm walking in the house, and the street light home, and my dad standing at the front stoop, at the front step, waiting for me to get in so he can tie me up. And that's what he called discipline, because guess what? He said, don't let the street light, and that's a rule. See, we got to do we got to set some communication rules. That's communication specific rules to let them know, hey, look, I'm telling you, don't let the street lights get you. Get in the house before it gets too dark, because there's consequences.
I think that's where a parent really gets angry and upset, when you just define it. You just won't listen. If I tell you to stay in the house while I go to the store, that's what I mean. But when I come back and you're gone out, you're just telling me you don't have any respect for me and my authority. And so that's where, sometimes a parent expresses himself in such an angry way, because it's like, wait a minute, you got a lack of respect. I brought you in this world. I'm the dad. I'm the parent. But you're going to sit up here acting like you can override my thing. So, it's something that, parents have to deal with all the time, Mr. E. But how we do it is key, because, again, the word discipline, it comes from the root disciple.
Yeah.
It's a lot of teaching.
Yeah,
it may be some corporal punishment, maybe some little whack on the, patty cake on the little, backside or whatever. But there is a lot more that goes with guiding, teaching, and praising, and positive reinforcements. You want to give them the time out and redirect them. But you need to, it can't be just a knock on the head. You need to teach children.
That's discipline. That's what you got to do. You got to train them up. You got to teach them. There are two ways that you can do. We ask the question, which is the right way, which is the wrong. Teaching them and whipping them. Teaching them, and when they're wrong, or do you teach them right from wrong, or do you whip them when they don't know what's right from wrong if you don't tell them or teach them what's right from wrong?
Yes.
So when you're training up a child, when you're teaching a child, there are methods that you got to tell them. You got to lead by example. Mm-hmm. They can't see you doing one thing and then you go back with that old cliche again. You do if I say do, not what I do.
That's what is heard, and that's what children see, and that's why sometimes they get defiant, because they see you cutting up.
That's right.
And you telling them right from telling them to do something right and what's wrong. Don't do that. But they look at the parents and they doing everything right, everything wrong that you can think of, and then they want to hold a child at a higher standard.
That's right.
And so, we've got to be careful, doing that. We've got to be that role model, and we have to teach and guide our children.
That's right.
Corporal punishment, again, giving whippings and stuff like that without, giving them information how to be better and how to change is not worth 2 cents. It's abusive. You're not doing nothing when you're not teaching them from a child to grow up being a better person.
Well, back in the day, it didn't hurt some of us, and when
said that?
Back in the day, it didn't hurt us. We still. They say what to avoid. These are some of the things they said what to avoid. Avoid physical punishment.
Well,
physical punishments like spanking is not an effective long-term disciplinary strategy.
I don't know. Some people would disagree with that.
And can have negative consequences for child development. Listen, if you like to use physical punishment, that's what my daddy and them did back in the day. They used physical punishment. They whip your bottom. They got one of the big, go out there and get me a switch. I'm going to get you. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning.
Hi, yes, I want to come back on that. You said my physical punishment. Yes, that is good because my sister is 27 years old. My mother was single. She retired. And a lot of her kids in the family retired. But I said all this, physical punishment is good. The system stop that physical thing and let the kids mind up because they hit the child. Then they're going to end up getting all kinds of consequences. I hear it in my situation, but that is what brought us around. Even at age 27, we still got butt with it.
What? 27? Lord have mercy. Physical, I think people can go too far. I think some physical...
she said at 27.
Not at 27.
She said at 27, she was still getting them.
But I can say, this is how I feel. I feel like, you have to do a little pop, or, a little punishment, a little timeout, you got to be hard. But in this day and time, let's get to it. Most parents are taking away those devices because children are definitely codependent on it, and try to take that away and see if they don't lose their mind. I mean, that's something that parents are using in this date and time to show discipline. It's like, okay, you gonna cut up in school? Give me that phone. Okay, give me that iPad, that PS5. Oh, and kids go crazy. Oh, they straighten up real good when you start taking away those I call them baby bottles, all that codependent stuff and stuff that they need. They turn around a little bit at times.
When I was a kid, growing up, my daddy said, I'm not taking nothing out of these rooms. And so when I was raising my children, I wouldn't take the TV off the wall. I wouldn't take the game board. If I say don't do it, don't mess with it, don't play with it, I mean business. Don't do it because I'm going to get you. I am going to get you. Because I remember one time I locked the door. Me and my son was in the room and he was a Pillsbury doughboy. And I told him, don't do something, don't do this, don't do that. He going to do it in a way like it doesn't matter. And so I had to shut the door and just be me and him because he's gonna be grown. So I had to let him know who's the big bad wolf here.
You got to set those rules. You got to let them know who has the authority, and that's true. And some kids are so defiant. Sometimes you have to do more than just, Johnny, don't do that. Time out. You got to do a little bit more with some of these hard-headed children because if you don't, they'll run you over you.
Do you think yelling at a child or slamming them up against the wall?
See, I'm not into all that slamming and head knocking.
And that's physical punishment.
Physical don't have to be knocking a child using irons and throwing stuff. And, come on. Some of this stuff is too close to child abuse. Now,
that's right.
A nice, get a little switch or a nice, little pat, or taking cell phone punishment and things like that, things that really can get to them. But, being abusive and harming them physically, that's what I'm talking about, not discipline or whipping. I'm talking about harming them to the point where they're bleeding or they're cut or they're headed. But you got some people doing that. That is, to me, that's abusive.
Back in the days of old when you got, and it depends on your color or your skin. You know, you go to school with a butte. See, here's what good teachers and what teachers does back in the day. They monitor each child that come into the classroom. They know when Johnny is happy. They know when Susie is happy. They know when something ain't right with that child. So what they do, they decided that they're gonna let everybody know what's wrong with. Well, Johnny said, well, my daddy whipped me.
Well, I can't lie. You know, children will try you and they will make you to the point where you want to really, really go at them. But we've got to be disciplined ourselves. And then we've got to teach along with those other, techniques of punishing. But we cannot be abusive. And we've got to let them learn the right lessons. Look, we're going to talk about this more on Friday. You all make sure you join us and make sure you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everette, the co-host. And for more information, you can give us a call at 757-714-7861, or you can email us at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. That's FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 right here on all your social media platforms, WPCE 1400, WGPL 1350, WMVA 88.9, and Peace 95.3. And have a wonderful, wonderful hump day.
All right. We got Instagram back with us. TAREK95. Thank you for joining us. _STYLLOXX _BAGHEL _XX Thank you so much. You all on Facebook, Sheila Robbins, all you all up here. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, we've got to go a little bit early today, but make sure you come back. We got some great shows for you all. Make sure you follow us and make sure you know you can be a special guest, intern, or sponsor with FYI Radio Show.
And don't forget to join us 757-714-7861 or email us at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. And don't forget to have a wonderful, wonderful hump day.
Bye now.
2 up.